Good morning everyone, it's Yvonne here from the Aussie Goddess, here to do your daily reading. Today is Thursday and I'm pretty sure it's the 20th today. 20th. Okay. Thank you very much for subscribing to my channel. I'm pretty amazed, it just keeps growing, and you have to understand it really it makes me feel very humbled, believe me. If you don't enjoy my readings, please move on to the next reader. There's some fantastic readers on YouTube. The cards I'm using today are the Julia Massaglia After Tarot. Bit of celebrating going on here. And we're ready to start. Oh, please subscribe if you haven't subscribed too. And if you want to... oh, excuse me. Big sneezes here. If you want to check out anything about me, it's in the box below. I'd love to have you on my Facebook page. I do try to do a giveaway every week for a free reading if you're interested. Alrighty, we're ready. Oh, that's different. Okay, first card out of the deck is Judgment. Look, I have a feeling you guys got this yesterday. If it didn't come up in the daily read, it came up in one of the other reads. So obviously it's a very, very big energy at the moment. A lot of reconciliations, a lot of bringing together of twin flames, soulmates, but also a lot of people breaking up too. And I've found that a lot in my personal readings. A lot of people becoming aware of things like narcissism and empaths. So that's been pretty enlightening. But definitely this moving towards something that you've either done before or something that you're given the opportunity to do something better. Now, this is talking about raising you from the dead. It's also talking about rebirthing the phoenix, but it's definitely a call to judgment. So, you know, there's a very strong feeling of karma when you're called to judgment to equal things out. So that's what you're dealing with still today. So this energy's been strong for this week, and I'm sure many of you can feel it. So let's have a look and see what else is in the cards. The other thing I've noticed this week too is a lot of the readings have been a bit more love-based than career-based. Oh, first card out. Okay. So when we talk about the devil, we have the option that it's a Capricorn. So you may be dealing with a Capricorn, or you may be a Capricorn yourself. But the devil talks about lots of things because it talks about bondage. It talks about being tied to something. Now, it can be the card of codependency. It can also be, if you know codependency as an emotional thing, it can also be codependency as in alcohol, addictions. It can be about lust. It can be about like being so obsessed or attracted to someone. And the other thing it represents, which I think sometimes we forget, is it's about the ego. So this is where you are today. I get some more information as we go, but this is the general energy of the devil card. Okay, the next card out is the Empress. Here we go with the major arcanas again. And I used a different deck, I think, yesterday. The Empress is the mother. She's like Mother Nature. She's the person that's birthing new ideas. She's the person who is very close to being the most natural person she can be. But she can talk about being pregnant. She can talk about giving birth, but she can also talk about trying something new. So this is your energy here. Okay, so the third card out of the deck is the Page of Wands. Now, the Page of Wands talks about getting a message. It's generally a message of passion. It's usually just a little sort of nudge in the right direction. I feel like for a lot of you here that you've discovered something that you need to move away from. And I think the idea of it has come through hearing something from somebody else. So we'll have a little bit look as we go further, but I'm feeling that's sort of the energy I'm getting here. Like you've woken up to something and you're rebirthing new ideas, and somebody said something to take you to this. You've had some sort of thought or idea. Okay, and then we have the Hanged Man. Now again, a major arcana. The Hanged Man talks about like taking time out to enlighten yourself. Taking time out to look at things from a very different perspective. And this really feels like this now. So if this is a career reading, I would say that you're taking an opportunity to walk away from maybe a very ego environment, a bullying environment, an environment that doesn't offer you the sort of things you'd want to have. It feels to me like it's not a good place to be. And I feel like you're moving towards something more suited to what you want. And maybe someone's offered you something new because you're now thinking about whether to take that or not. You're trying to think of things from a different perspective. Sometimes when we're in this sort of environment, we take time out, we make excuses, we decide why it's not right to move away. We look at all the things that hold us to this. For example, our ego things, money. It can be any one of a number of things, but at least you're taking the time out to see whether it is the right thing to do or not. Sometimes if it's a codependent thing, and you've taken a job and you're a very codependent person, sometimes it's very, very difficult to give away this environment because even though it's not a nice environment to be in, you're drawn and attracted to it for some reason. So taking the time and energy to think about what it is you want, because I'm feeling this is what you'd prefer to have. Something more nurturing, something more in line with your ideas and natural ideas. So this is where you're thinking about this now. Now it could be a relationship, because you could be thinking this relationship's codependent and you want to walk away to something more fulfilling. And as it's somehow with this Page of Wands, I get a feeling that someone's offered you something, or you've seen something, or you've had a message about something. You could have read something in a magazine, an article that's encouraged you to rethink this whole thing. But you're definitely in thinking mode, people. And yes, here's the Knight of Pentacles. So I feel it's a slow process for you. You're taking action, but it feels to me you need to be very prepared for this. Whatever it is you're moving on to, there's this sense of having to think it out before you move. There's this sense of understanding you want to go after something that you're more passionate about, but there's now this sense of moving very, very slowly. And I think you have to plan methodically, because either the money is really important or you've got other people relying on you for that money coming in. Oh, that card feels really thick. Okay, and then so you want stability. So you're going to think this out and you're going to do it in a very planned, organised, structured way. The Knight of Pentacles, because he's a pentacle, he understands that he needs to plan things out. He needs to make sure he does it in a way that's solid. He doesn't want to rush forward, do it through, being spontaneous. He's not that type of knight. So that's the approach you're taking. And I understand that, because you're looking for stability. You're looking for something that will last. Okay, and then we have the Temperance card. Yeah, absolutely. You're balancing everything out before you move forward. You have a lot of major arcanas in this one again. So definitely some divine guidance here. Before you move, you're working out how to do it. If you're moving away from a relationship, you may well be pregnant. It might be a codependent relationship. You may be with a narcissist. You maybe have been bullied. You're taking time out to work. Oh my goodness, that Julia Roberts movie came. Sleeping with the Enemy came up then when I was doing that, and I'm thinking they've sent that in for somebody out there who's really planning to move away from somebody who is not good for them. But kudos to you, because you're doing it in a way that you're thinking out everything you need to do. You haven't watched the movie. It's a very good movie. It's extreme, but I'm sure it happens to people. Yeah, because now we get in the Death card. So you're going through some transformation. So maybe it is that you've had information and you're starting to make these changes. You're definitely doing them in a way that's really kind to yourself. And I like that, because you're thinking about how you do this. You're not rushing through. And sometimes when we rush, we regret. So thinking things through methodically is sometimes the best way to go. And I feel like this is the approach you're taking now. So if you're moving away from a work environment, you're going to go into this energy here of transforming the way you think about things before you move to the next job. So things that might be going through your head are things like, how did I end up here? Why am I in this environment? How can I move on to the next one and make sure the same thing doesn't happen again? It can be quite toxic if you're in that environment. And here's the Eight of Swords. So the one thing you need to get clear with yourself is you can't get stuck in your head here. These thoughts and worries are just you overthinking them. They're not what's happening here. What's happening here is you thinking through something in a very planned and methodical way. Don't get caught up in the things that are happening. Try and be the observer. So if you're in a situation which is very toxic, try and stand back and be the observer of your environment. Really, really good to do that sometimes, because if you're not emotionally entrapped in it, you can make better decisions. So that's the Eight of Swords. And then we have the Four of Pentacles. So the other thing is, don't get trapped in your thoughts and then stay when this is not good for you. I note that in the After Tarot here, the Death card is represented in the Four of Pentacles. And I remember the first time I saw this, I actually thought it was the Death card. So if you get caught up and you think that you have to stay for whatever reason, the universe will move you out. The next card you get will be the Tower. It will move you on because you know that you can't be here and you want to transform and you want to move forward, but you're not allowing yourself to do that. So maybe the time is not quite right, but if you don't do it now, there'll come a time in the future when the universe will step in and make sure you do. So that's your reading for today. I'll just put an oracle card on it. It's a very heavy reading again for someone out there who's going through either a heavy toxic environment home or with a toxic relationship, karmic or toxic job. We all do all of those because we don't value who we are as people at times. And valuing yourself is so important. And I can see this in the Empress here. This is who you need to be. You need to place good value on who you are. You're important, you're beautiful, you're worthy. But sometimes we do doubt that. We think that other people around us have more value, have more worthiness than us. We are all as worthy as one another. Okay, Dragonfly. So it talks about having confidence during this time of great joy, renewal and connections to spirit. And don't forget, if you're going through this stuff, meditate. Let spirit speak to you directly. It really will help with the process and the transformation. Thank you, everyone.